Hi, everyone. So welcome to our webinar on Soundtrap that is going to focus more on podcasting. So what we can do as educators in response to the huge boom in the popularity of podcasting. So in case you're unfamiliar with this, I did do a little bit of research, have found out that podcasting is sort of a formal thing in over 100 languages. There are over 43 million published podcasts as of January this year. And it's generally seen as a great way to capture student voice. So we've got the tool. Serena is here from Soundtrap. She has loads of experience, and she's going to give us a glimpse into the potential of how Soundtrap can be brought into our classrooms and capture this student voice, and how we can engage our learners using this great technology. So Serena, it's all yours. Take it away.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to show you how to use Soundtrap for podcasting or storytelling. So I'm going to share my screen. And so I have this slide for you. I can share that with you, but an easy way to remember it is bit.ly/S Soundtrap Tour. It has pretty much everything you could ever need. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about Soundtrap and then go through a studio tour. I'm going to show you the backstage and how to onboard, and then this will provide you a bunch of resources. So Soundtrap is a digital audio workstation like a DAW, like GarageBand or Audacity, where students can create their own music or podcasts, collaborate with their peers, and share their voice. So this slideshow basically has a bunch of videos for you to use. I am known to talk quickly and very fast, so if you forget anything or need to go back, this slideshow will have all the videos you need. But so I'm going to enter our studio. So this is our project page. When you enter Soundtrap, this is what it looks like. The purple button, Enter Studio, is where you would go to create your podcast. They'll give you two templates. The difference is that podcasting, the time ruler is in seconds and minutes, and the voice filter is in podcast mode. So I'm going to click podcast. It doesn't matter, though. You can still put music in podcasts, and you can still record a podcast in the music template. But I'll choose podcast. And as you can see, now the time is in seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds. I can move the playhead around. If you were looking to do intro music for your podcast, you just click on this little purple button, the music icon. We have 5,000 loops based on genre or instrument. We also have, particularly for podcasts, the special effects. So they have tons of special effects and also sounds. So if you're someone who's doing a podcast about film, hey, welcome, welcome. Thanks for joining. If you're doing a podcast about film, you might want to drag in this film projector into your thing, into the studio. It takes a little while to load. And then you have, if it loads quicker, awesome, the sound. So a kind of old school projector sound. So if you're looking to do a podcast about movies, again, there are tons. Airplanes. We also, again, you can search. So dog, you have dogs barking. My dog doesn't like that one, so I won't play it for too long. So that's how you can kind of add sounds to your podcast. I always recommend for students to turn off this purple button. It's the cycle button. And what happens is when it gets to the end, if it's turned on, it'll cycle to the beginning of your project. So if you want to go farther than that, I recommend turning it off. So turning it gray is what I tell students. So I have my beginning sound effect, but I feel like it's a little too long. Maybe I want it only for 10 seconds. I'm going to move my playhead over here, highlight or click on the sound, and I'm actually going to split the region. So now I can move this or delete it altogether. So I have this intro. And in fact, I might even want to make it shorter. There's another way I can shorten it. The bottom right-hand corner, I can shorten it, or I can extend it and loop it. So I have it right here. This could be my intro. I can also add music to my intro. Let's just do like a bass thing. Perfect. I'm going to drag and drop. And again, I'm going to shorten it. And now I can start recording my voice. This is the cool part. So you're going to add a new track and choose voice and microphones. So as you see the filter, it says podcast. So you can change it to anything, but again, podcasting just makes it sound better. There's no reverb. It's right in the middle of your headphones and the volume's pretty decent. If you have one of those fancy microphones, you can change it by clicking here. So if you have those fancy podcasting microphones, you can choose it. I'm just using my computer one, which totally works. So if I'm considering my podcast about a movie, I'm going to hit start recording. Hello, welcome to my podcast about my favorite Will Smith movies. So there we go. That's my podcast. And so we have intro, we have my introduction of my audio. And something I can even do is I can change the title. So intro. And that kind of gives an opportunity to organize it a little bit. I think the most important thing in this podcasting feature is our transcription tool. So at the bottom left-hand corner, you'll see this transcript tool, and it allows you to select a voice track. So I'm going to choose my intro, and I'm going to transcribe it. It does take a little bit of time, so I recommend, if it's a very long audio track, transcribe it and then walk away for a bit. But I have a short one, so it should be pretty quick. What it does is it takes my audio and turns it into text. So maybe we're not even considering podcasting. Maybe we're considering a student who has dyslexia and struggles with typing essays. This could really be an opportunity for them to speak and get text out of that speech. So I think this is a really powerful tool, not just for podcasting, but in general as a teacher. So if you see it says, hello, welcome to my podcast about my favorite Will Smith movies. Maybe I messed up and I don't want to talk about Will Smith. The coolest thing you can do is you can actually change it after the fact. So I'm going to click on Will Smith's name and I'm going to click delete. And I don't know if you noticed, my audio deleted too. So take a look. I'm highlighting Will and I'm going to hit the delete button. You're going to see the audio deletes. So now when I press play, it says my favorite movies. Hello, welcome to my podcast about my favorite movies. It's pretty good for, for editing it via text. Again, if you have students who want to transcribe their entire podcast and take out all the that might be a really cool opportunity for them.
That's an amazing feature, Serena. Both Trisha and I, our mouths dropped at the same time. I was like, what?
Yeah.
We have students who are so tentative to record themselves, and to know that they could just clip like that that's amazing.
That's
Love
what I
it.
was going to say, just to get rid of those ums, as you said, the ums and ahs. I notice I do that all the time too when I'm teaching virtually. I try to stop saying it, but you just do, right? So yeah, awesome.
Yeah, my coworker, she's actually recorded some of her professional development sessions and then put it into Soundtrap, put the audio in, and seen how many times she says or like, or I don't want to do it because I'd be too embarrassed. I'd see how much I do that, but it's a very, very cool opportunity for students, thinking about the equitable things in education. This could really change the game for a lot of students. So I find it helpful. It's at the bottom right-hand corner if you ever need it, under every podcasting opportunity. So another thing is you can actually invite people to join you. So I can invite my colleague, Jess, and then we can kind of do an interview podcast where I can record myself. Hi, Jess, what's your favorite movie? And my friend Jess can go in and create her own new track and answer me. I don't actually know her favorite movie. But so now I can change it to say Serena's audio, and then I can change it to say Jess's audio. And so you can transcribe both parts, which is kind of cool. And it generates a transcript for it. So Jess's part would be after my part, as if it were an actual interview. So those are kind of the basics of podcasting. I did want to mention some other things that I mentioned in yesterday's video, but did I have any questions?
I have a really quick question, and my brain is just turning. So theoretically, and I think this is going to relate to what you said yesterday, an educator could create a series of questions, record them, and send it out to their students.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
In fact, I'll use that as my example. Yeah. So insert your audio here, or record. So sometimes I like to title it Teacher's Instructions. That's just like my hack that I've used. So I record myself. Hi, students, welcome. I'd like you to answer a few questions for me. Your first question is, what is your favorite color? You're recording below. What is your favorite movie? What is your favorite subject in school? So essentially what the student can do is then go in. Now the student will go in and hit this button and hit the R, and then they can record. If they have headphones, it sounds a lot better because they'll be able to hear the teacher instructions while they're speaking. But so they'll record.
Hi, students, welcome. I'd like you to answer a few questions for me. Your first question is, what is your favorite color?
Green.
You're recording below.
Green.
What is your favorite movie?
Will Smith's
What
movie.
is your favorite subject in school?
Music. So again, you would give students either extra space. Another way you could do this, again, so this is if you did it with a student, but if two students were working together, there's an option to call your partner. This depends on what permissions you've allowed them. So if you've allowed them the permission to kind of video chat, the students can video chat together their interview and record it at the same time. And each of their voices will get their own track. So they can really have a real live asynchronous conversation that is recorded. Again, so if you're thinking about podcasts, that's a really cool opportunity. But yeah, this is another option as well if you're doing teacher-given assignments. So that's how I would create it as a template. I would save it. So I have my instructions. The students would record their own audio here, and then I'll exit the studio. And what I'll do is I will create an assignment, and I'm going to base it on an existing project. So it's called Untitled. I recommend titling it. So you'll create the assignment. You'll hit share. What happens is the students will get their own individual project. They'll get their own copy that they can work on, and you get to be a member of each project. So anytime a student submits anything or literally changes anything in the Soundtrap project, you get to see it. So there's no like turning in, you automatically have it, which is great. It also creates a folder. So there's a few ways you can share it. Google Classroom, Microsoft Teams, depending on what you use, or this literally dropped today. Yesterday, the video, it wasn't happening, but today we just got, you can share it with a group. And I'll show you how to create groups, but that's pretty exciting. You can share it with a group, or I'm a big fan of sharing using a link. Again, however you share assignments with students, I enjoy sharing the link. And then you give them the link, and you'll see I now have a folder that says assignment today. And so every time a student submits something, it'll be up top and it'll say their name. So like Untitled Podcast, Michelle, and I'll be a member of it. And I can go into the studio and look at it, see the progress that the student has. I can type in the chat, great work, keep it up. Or, oh, look, you only answered one out of the questions. So kind of that feedback is really awesome. So that's the projects and assignment feature. So I mentioned that you could share it with a group. I recommend creating groups for each of your classes. I like having the norm of school name, class name, teacher name. I just think it's easier later on. Like if you ever have an issue, it's easy to point to that class. But the most important thing is if you want students to collaborate. So if I want Michelle and Tricia to work together, they have to be in the same group. So that's something, typically that's easy if they're in the same class, but if you're considering maybe doing a project with 8th graders, doing a storytelling project with 5th graders, they'll have to be in the same group to collaborate. So that's the backstage of this. Were there any questions? Oh, students can be in multiple groups. Yes. You can have a student in all the groups.
If you, we use Google Classroom here. If you post this through Google Classroom, can you also check their progress through Google Classroom, or would you like?
No, so all it does is just gives the link as an assignment.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if I gave, if I put it as an assignment in Google Classroom, it would just be like essentially blank. I would check Soundtrap, but I could send them a mark back on Google Classroom type thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are there, and you might be getting to this, are there different options for publishing? Or so like if I finish a project, can I leave it on the web, or do I have to download it to my Chromebook and make it an MP3? Just kind of wondering how we might share some of these creations when they're done.
Definitely. Great question. So yeah, we do offer an opportunity to download your project as an MP3 or as a WAV file. OGG is a little more advanced. Not many people use it. But something I've noticed that I've personally been doing is I hit share copy. And again, you have to make sure that you're not sharing works of minors without parental consent. But once you have that, you can get your own copy of it. So see, it says shareable copy, and I can give anyone that link, and it actually goes into Soundtrap, and they can listen to it inside Soundtrap, which is pretty cool. I find that to be an option, but I've always been of the mind, teach kids how to download as an MP3, because that's kind of cool. You tell the kids, here's your podcast, here's what actual professionals use. And then what I've done in the past with some of my students is we'll go on another site like WeVideo or Adobe Spark, and I'll have them create a video to go along with it, kind of to app smash. But yeah, so you can do that. I've also seen schools do websites where you just add them in. Let me see if I can, here we go. Podcasting and SFUSD has a really great example. So they have all their students' work, so book review podcasts. And what they did is they made a web page for it, and you would just click on one. My favorite is the James and the Giant Peach one. You click on it, and it just gives you the Google Drive audio. So it's just so cute.
Would you love to go on a giant flying peach and explore the world with a bunch of friends to keep you company? Well, if you do, this is the book for you. This is a book by Roald Dahl, and it's James and the Giant Peach.
Oh, that's my favorite. So that's another option as well. Just putting it in Google Drive and having that, live on a website.
That was what I was going to ask you, Serena. Have you seen different ways that educators have organized their student podcasts, or if you've even seen more like a beyond one classroom, like let's say KPDSB wanted to house some podcasting, like is there a few more exemplars, or could you forward us some?
Yeah, absolutely. So there is another one. So we have a Facebook community. Let's see if I can get to it. We have a Facebook community where teachers have, here we go. Teachers have shared with us some of their examples. So let's see. One of the teachers actually put some of their student work, let me see if I can find it, on Bandcamp.
Okay.
Here it is. So this is actually music, but again, it could work. Bandcamp is basically a hosting site. And so she downloaded them, I believe, as WAV files and uploaded. And it's a whole, again, these are all of her students' work. It isn't a little extra step. It takes a little longer. But then it's an actual CD that you can, give to anyone.
Yeah, and we know that one of the global competencies, one of the indicators is when our students work for more than an audience of one, which is typically their teacher, and that they seem to engage and value their voice and see reason and purpose in their work when it goes beyond the classroom. So this is an excellent example. Exactly what I was kind of wondering if we could do. Yeah,
absolutely. Again, I know there's it kind of depends on the privacy issues and what the parents and your school are comfortable with. But again, there's so many opportunities to share their work publicly, which I think is powerful.
That is awesome. Okay, so can you talk to us just quickly about the student courses and the teacher courses? Are they mostly focused on music, or does it also include some podcasting?
Yes, so we have some courses. So the Certified Educators course, we have a level 1 and 2 for both music and podcast. So we have the podcasting one. And then the student course, it's all on YouTube. So it's easy to access. The level 1 is there, but we also have, we also have a level 2. I'll actually add that. But so on our Soundtrap for Education YouTube page, we have, it's in one of the playlists. So student podcast level 2.
Welcome.
So this gives kind of the advanced version. It's very similar to the teacher one, but we have that as well. So I'll add that too. So yes, those are some options as well. And I will give this slide one more time in the chat. These have all extra videos and everything, kind of the same stuff I talked about, but kind of slower and not in 30 minutes. Any other questions about podcasting or Soundtrap in general?
I haven't had a chance to look at the links Michelle had sent out, or maybe it was you, Serena, I'm not sure. I saw something about some pre-made or like suggestions of lessons and things. Was that on this, or
yeah?
Where would I find those?
Yeah, we have tons of lesson plans. So a lot of our lesson plans are actually in the Soundtrap backstage area. If you go to lesson plans, you can do subject. So if you're a history teacher, we've got some. We do it by grades, elementary or middle, math, visual art even. So there's a lot of options. Literacy. So again, the book chat podcast is one. So there's a lot of options for lesson plans. We also have in this slideshow a bunch of this teacher snapshots. They're really helpful. It's a list of 200 lesson ideas by subject. So there's just so many. Again, a lot of these we've taken and made lesson plans, but some of them, again, no one has tried, so maybe you can try them. So that's another option. We also have these resources, pretty much the same lesson plans, but organized a different way. We have a Padlet for podcasting. This is pretty much every helpful resource you could ever think of. We have this really cool paper prototype assignment where you give students a paper version of a podcast and they can try to create their own, conceptualize it. And there's some really cool examples of people doing that, with tape and making it creative. So yeah, there's tons on this slideshow that I shared. There are even more on our Facebook page. Again, I will always recommend it because people share the best things. But hopefully that helps. And I am here for you if you ever are like, hey, I need another idea. I can just send you as many ideas as possible.
I think you captured, and Tricia, once you start digging on those links, the potential of it, but also the educator voice. Like there's so much on there. And then I just joined the Facebook group, I think like late last week, and many posts, all driven, a lot of it by educators. So it's that kinship of sharing resources and what's working, which saves us all so much time. I'm just going to open up the floor one more time before we draw to a close. If there's any more questions. Joy, I see you on there too. If you have any questions, let me know. Let us know.
Sounds good. I think I would need to just navigate it a little bit myself before I start to think of questions, because I'm sure they will come up, but I'm pretty good at figuring things out just by tinkering with it.
Sounds good. I'll mention 2 people reached out to me today. They both had inadvertently created their accounts as students. It was a quick fix on my admin panel to change them to staff. I emailed one, texted the other, they refreshed their screen, and they were able to create their class as soon as they were staff. So So just make sure I think you have to do a drop-down menu to select that you're a staff member. It's a default to student. So once you create that account, you will be good to go. And with that, Serena, I'm going to say thank you and give you the last word if you would like to just let our educators know what is the best place to start, and we'll get going.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It was super exciting to share Soundtrap, and I cannot wait to see what you and your students come up with. Please feel free to reach out to me. I'm Serena@soundtrap.com. Sorry, my dog's making noise. Serena@soundtrap.com. Again, I'm here for any resources. Sorry, she's making noise. She's excited too. But yeah, so if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I'm here. Pretty much this is all I do, so I'm here for you guys.
Thanks so much, Serena.
Thank you. All right, have a great rest of your day.